Welcome everybody back to There Will Be Bets. I am your host Cole Oxane. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts Jake LaSalle and Drew LaSalle, and this is your first episode of the actual NBA playoffs. We're recording this on Sunday, so we got the Saturday action. Sunday action is happening as we're going, and we're done with the play-in, the ups and downs, and whatever that brought. We're now in the real thing. It was not maybe the most exciting day overall of action, but that's kind of how the first round tends to go. Guys, we'll jump in here first and just get some immediate thoughts on anything from the plan that we might have missed since our last recording, or anything you saw with the first round action that kind of jumps off the page of you, and then we'll hop in and break down kind of all the storylines. But how are we feeling? Anything that you immediately want to get off your chest?
Nothing crazy. Obviously, I think we touched on it last time, but the Blazers over the Suns was pretty crazy, and then the Suns still squeaking into the playoffs as just a sorry team that has to go against the Thunder. So that'll be an interesting matchup to see today if the Thunder are just gonna take care of business and sweep over this over the field or not. And from yesterday, it was some interesting games. Obviously, the LeBron coming out and just putting up almost a triple double in his 41-year age and beating the just can't throw in the ocean team without Kevin Durant. And then a couple other crazy games. The Timberwolves looked like they were actually handling the Nuggets for a while and then just ran out of steam because Jokic is Jokic. So it was an interesting series. A lot of stuff went our way. It might not have been the most interesting games, but there was definitely a lot of value to be had on some of the plays that we were talking about on the podcast.
Yeah, no disagreement there. I'll shout out the Sixers. I was really impressed with their performance. I know the Magic struggles offensively continue, and it's something that will continue to likely limit them. But it's a tough one because the Sixers, if they lose and get the 8 seed, I think I would be betting them to beat the Pistons in this next series. Unfortunately, they draw the Celtics, and I might be a little more down on the Celtics than you guys. I do think like everything that Missoula has done this year has been incredible. They've really changed the way they play completely from a year ago, and based on the personnel that they had and a lot of different guys in reserve roles and all that. But I do think the Sixers can make some noise in this series with the Celtics. Obviously, Embiid's injury status is a big part of that, and we'll see if they can maybe steal one of the first two in Boston. I know they're 12 and a half point underdogs today, so likely not going to happen, but really impressed, as continue to be, by Tyrese Maxey and everything he brings on the offensive side of the ball.
For sure. And then I guess to round out my thoughts on the play-in, I echo a lot of what these guys are saying. I was sad to see the Hornets go out as sad as they did. We've been Hornets hive all year. We had a very good number on Hornets to make the playoffs from right when they started their big push. And I think, obviously, at the end of the day, a team that started as slow as they did put themselves in this position for a reason. It just took them a little bit too long to get going. And then they, in both of the playing games, they scraped by against the Heat, and then they got belted in this game. They looked like a team that had no playoff experience, whether it was LaMelo Ball shooting like his brother Lonzo and just shooting very poorly. Colin Knippel just vanishing, right? Like, I know Rookie of the Year, the voting is technically only the regular season, so like he should still be okay. But if there's anyone who was able to still get their vote in after watching that, woof, that award's gone from him because he was literally nowhere to be found. And I think it looked like a classic team that needs to take its lumps. Hopefully that's one of the lumps they've taken. And I mean, the Magic are the most uninspiring team in the entire playoffs, but I kind of echo what Drew was saying with the Pistons, and I think the Magic can kind of maybe steal a game or two from the Pistons just because of the way they play and the Pistons' susceptibilities going into the playoffs. And then, yeah, the Suns did what we expected them to do. They took care of the sad Warriors. Steph had his one moment. I don't think the Warriors really wanted to play a 4-game series against the Thunder anyway. If you heard what Steve Kerr said in his press conference after the win against the Clippers, he kind of was like, oh, we got to feel like ourselves for a night. It was kind of just like the energy of, hey, we're glad we can still do it when we want to. But yeah, that kind of went exactly how we thought it was going to, so I don't really have much other comment there of, again, I take back what I had said about the Suns being live against the Spurs. Suns, sure, probably are not live against the Thunder. I think maybe they could win a game at home if the Thunder decide to fall asleep or something. But we're all on, Thunder sweep. So, I don't necessarily see that happening either. Those are kind of the final thoughts there. Any other reactions. Drew, as a Laker fan, I feel like you got a little bit of what you wanted out of JJ Redick and his coaching last night. Are you feeling a little bit more up, especially if Durant doesn't play again?
Yeah, I mean, if Durant misses another game or two, it's hard to say with the nature of his injury just popping up in practice during the week. But we echoed it at the top. The Rockets already struggle with shot making, and you take their best shot maker off the floor, and all of a sudden your offense is completely reliant on Sengun in the pick and roll. Uh, God help you if you're relying on Ahmed Thompson to hit any threes in this game. I know he doesn't really have like an athletic match on the Lakers in this series, but he's not a first option offensively that you're going to win an NBA playoff series with. So we'll really bummed that our long shot required a Rockets game one win, because all of a sudden this completely changes the series, and we'll see if LeBron can sustain the level of play that he put out in game one. If it's a facilitation LeBron, I think maybe that's a bit more sustainable than him just going to the rack 30 times a game and hitting the ground a whole bunch, because I don't think his body can sustain that type of play. But yeah, really, really inspired play from Ayton, and Kennard was huge in that game as well. I love listening to Chuck and Shaq just continue to roast DeAndre Ayton in post game, and even when he has a good game, they're like eagerly awaiting just torching that dude, which is totally warranted. But yeah, up and
say,
up for the Lakers.
justifiable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the Lakers actually showed like a lot, and maybe it's just the Rockets are that bad without Durant, but I think if Durant doesn't play another game and the Lakers take a second game, go up 2-0, and Durant comes back, there could be some real value on this Rockets to come back and win the series. Because I think like you kind of hit it on the head. It's just like, can LeBron withstand a whole series? I just don't know if he has the gas.
Yeah, I kind of think it is sustainable. I think what we saw yesterday is sustainable. I think LeBron as the facilitator and then late in the game, back to the basket, control the ball to score or still facilitate. I think that's doable. I
But that
think it's
just
not going to wear him
requires
out.
the rest of his team to like Aiden, for example, to play at an actual good level. And I don't know if
Yeah,
I
I mean,
trust
Aiden
that
had a
either.
fine game. I think the key to this series is probably, obviously, LeBron is LeBron, and he has to continue to be LeBron. But I think it's Rui. I think he had a great game yesterday, and I think he's the guy who has to pick up the load. I think Kennard, it's going to come and go. He's a three-point shooter. He's going to have good games. He's going to have lesser games, but like, you know what you're getting out of Kennard. I think Rui is kind of the key for them, and then again, obviously the Durant factor of it all. But like, I think it could be sustainable. Now, again, maybe it just ends up being a long series. Durant comes back, Rockets find a way to grind it out. Wouldn't shock me. The one piece that is a little curious to me, and I know that they said they weren't expecting Luka to come back, but if this becomes a real series, and if you notice the scheduling, by the way, the NBA just happened to pick this game to be the one that gets the extra day's rest to Tuesday, while everyone else has to play Monday. If all of a sudden the NBA helps out a little bit, does Luka show up for a walking out of the tunnel game 7 or something? Like, maybe, I don't know. The series feels very weird. The only thing I know for sure is it's ugly as hell. It's disgusting basketball. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think if you're a Laker fan or you're somebody who thought the Lakers had a chance in the series, you should at least feel better after what you saw, knowing that even if Durant comes back, the Lakers have a path. So that's kind of, I think, the real takeaway. Other two series, I guess not much to mention. Cavaliers handle the Raptors. It wasn't even a game. Donovan Mitchell was great. They just looked like the overall better team. You know, the Raptors offense looked like exactly what we expected it to. You know, we'll see if the Raptors can steal a game in that series, but I honestly don't think we need to waste much time on that. The Knicks took a little longer to get to the same type of result, but that's just kind of Knicks basketball. I think the Knicks did exactly what you'd expect them to do. The Hawks are a little bit tougher team. Struggled in the half. Obviously, we played some Knicks first half collectively here, so that was a little upsetting to watch it be that close for it to end up that wide, but I don't really see a world where the Hawks win this series. I think they can maybe push New York to 5 or 6 because that's just the way New York plays. But those are kind of my two takeaways on those other series. You guys have any other thoughts, or should we even waste time with those series?
No other thoughts, but the rant that you just reminded me of. I don't know if you guys actually saw that end of half play, um, but
Yeah.
the Knicks were up 5. The first half baseline is 2.5, and basically they were just kind of like clock running down, like guy was just trapped, didn't have anywhere to go with the ball, and just passed it to some random guy on the 3-point line who just does like a catch turnaround fade, throw it up at the rim, and just nails it
Yeah,
to
well, it
just
was even worse than
cover
that
the
because
two and a half.
The Knicks were trying to dribble the ball out to take the last shot, and then they get fouled with 7 seconds left.
Yeah.
So the Hawks got to set up a full inbound without the clock running to get it up the court,
And
and
they still
Johnson
didn't do it
dribbles
right.
into the double team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was disgusting. It was one of those like, obviously first half makes it even worse because like usually that's like end of game crap where you're like, you're sitting on a -2.5. You're like, we're gonna win this game. It's just a matter of if we can secure the back door here, and like it was the same principle. So kind of disgusting for sure. Other than that, though, again, the Knicks take care of business. So I think that's kind of where that is. And I know we touched on it. We'll talk more about the Timberwolves Nuggets series. But I think that's our thoughts on at least those 4 games. Again, games being played Sunday. We will have some thoughts on those series as we do the picks here in a minute. One other thing I want to bring up real quick. I know we haven't done a lot of rants recently. I have like a mini rant. It's probably something not everyone agrees with, but putting the playoffs on Prime Video sucks. It flat out sucks. First of all, this might be the boomer in me. Having to change from Prime Video over to my TV provider to watch the Laker game last night because we can't just, if we're going to put the games on Prime, can we at least get all 4 of them in one day on Prime? No, we get 3 of them one day, then I got to switch over to ESPN because that's just how the schedule has fallen. But this Prime Video stuff, the technical difficulties are crazy. The fact that you could just be watching a playoff game with them, boom, they flash up a screen, technical difficulties, and they come back 30 seconds later. It happened in the play-in, and it happened a couple of times yesterday for some people, including myself. On top of that, the stream quality is crap. Maybe I'm the only one dealing with this. Maybe it's my internet connection. The stream quality is like glitchy. And I feel like sometimes I see like a pass go up the court and the ball is like there and then it's not there. It's insane. If Jeff Bezos wants to have the NBA playoffs on his system, then we need to get this shit fixed. I mean, Thursday Night Football has been pretty good for years at this point, so why are we having problems with the NBA? And then don't get me started with how weird and milquetoast their halftime crew is. I know they've been on all season, but it's a band of misfits out there. Like, you got a bunch of names, but it doesn't work. Bring back TNT. Just like a TNT not having the NBA playoffs is the truest crime that we have in society right now. So that's my rant. Again, maybe it's just a problem that only I care about. That was my frustration yesterday.
I had not watched the halftime setup for it, but Blake, Griffin, Dirk, Udonis Haslam, and Taylor Rooks, that's the crew that they have rolling, right? Yeah, it not a lot of like flow in
And
that
Steve
group.
Nash too.
Steve Nash. Let's throw in another token white guy. Okay. Yeah, weird. I didn't pay any attention to it, but from a streaming video quality, yeah, couldn't agree more. I feel like that's like even more so of a problem when you're trying to bounce back and forth between games. But I mean, Prime Video during football is not like a gem of a streaming service either. So yeah, no differing opinions from me on that.
Yeah, and then this might be the one other problem. This is just now a side rant to my rant, but I share my Amazon account with my family like every other freaking person on this earth does. They have like a limit of like 2 streams, by the way. So it's like, God forbid you and your family want to log in and watch the NBA playoffs. Like, thankfully, my family doesn't tend to watch a lot of football, so I don't get interfered with too much on Thursday nights. But like, that happened to me the other day because, we're in Arizona. Family was like, hey, the Suns are playing in the play-in game. Let's tune in. And then all of a sudden, bang, I'm kicked off of the TV trying to watch the Suns sweating out -2.5. I'm like, what the hell is going on? It's like, I don't know, man. Bezos, man, if you want to own the leagues, you got to step it up. That's my message. I hope you hear this.
I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah, he's an avid There Will Be Bets listener. That's what I've heard. All right, guys. Well, if you are enjoying this video and you are enjoying the NBA playoffs with us here so far, please do leave a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell as well so you get notified every time we put out an episode. Make sure you tune in on all of our social media pages as well. We're everywhere at There Will Be Bets. We're giving out our daily clips, daily picks, and breakdowns of all the stuff. If you rode with us yesterday, we gave out a Dante DiVincenzo ladder, which didn't get all the way to the top, but we got multiple parts of it, so it definitely would have been a winner there. And we're going to keep giving out ladder plays. Drew has one going today on Sunday. So a lot of stuff coming out on social media, so definitely want to check us out there as well. So stay tuned on both the YouTube page and social media for all of that good stuff throughout the NBA playoffs. All right, you guys. So hopping into our picks for the upcoming week, we're going to break things down kind of day by day here, just because we have some lines for games like the ones coming up on Monday, and then the Rockets-Lakers on Tuesday, and then obviously more lines will come out for the rest of Tuesday and Wednesday as games progress here throughout the day on Sunday. So we're going to break down. We'll tell you if we have a number already. We'll tell you what it is. If we don't, we'll tell you what you're going to be looking at and what we're going to be looking at for those games here. But we're going to have a wide variety of stuff. Some of it's going to be familiar. You heard us break it down last week and probably saw some clips on some of these items already. Some of it's going to be new based on what we saw in the games already, so that way we can get a good mix of how we're going to read these series. So we're going to start with Monday. The 3 games being played on Monday are going to be Cavaliers Raptors game 2, Nuggets versus Wolves game 2, and Knicks versus Hawks game 2. So we're going to start here. Jake, it looks like you have a couple of plays in the Timberwolves game. We'll start with that game because I think that's kind of the marquee game of the 3, at least based on how the first games went. I know you have one, and then Drew, you've got some stuff there. I'll wrap it up with my thoughts on that game. But Jake, what are you looking at in the Timberwolves Nuggets game on Monday?
Yeah, I'm continuing the trend. We took the Ant rebounds yesterday, which hit Ant lines usually sitting around 5.5, 6.5, and he got 9 yesterday. And it looked like he was still kind of like injured a little bit, wasn't like fully going after rebounds like he usually does. As the series progresses, I feel like he's going to get just even more intense at going after the rebounds, especially like now that they're trailing, they're going to need to win more. So I really like Ant rebounds, especially because he hit most of the alts in a game where I don't think was his best rebounding game. So I really like that look. And then pretty much for most of the games, I'm going to say this, but game 2 home favorites are usually good in general, especially if they're big favorites. So I will be looking at most of the games, taking the alt numbers on a lot of these big favorites at home, and the Nuggets are probably going to be one of them. I think that they take care of business at home, and then the Timberwolves might be live in the next game when they get back in Minnesota. But I really like the alt numbers on the Nuggets.
Echo the Ant rebounds. He's cleared 5.5 in 6 of his last 7 playoff games. He's hit 9 in 4 of those 7. So we're in line with Jake on his rebound prop. It's something we touched on in our episode last week. Just a big jump in average per game on rebounds. I think he went from 5 in the regular season to 7 in his playoff career. So love that play. The other part I'm looking at is Murray points, seeing 26.5 as the line. I actually didn't think he played very well yesterday. Really inefficient game for him. I think he was maybe 7 of 22 from the field, but just gets to the line consistently. And as we talked about, Jokic against the Wolves, facilitator, not a scorer. I mean, he can still score. He put up 25, but it's not what he's looking to do first and foremost. And I think you continue to see Murray with a ton of volume from a shooting perspective. And I like that line a lot for him to go over 26.5.
Very SGA-esque game out of Murray yesterday with the way
foul
he played.
baits.
But
yep.
yes, but I agree with you. That is still a good look for the points. For that reason, for all the other reasons laid out, I'm going to go back to the over on this game. I had wanted to take the over in game 1, didn't get there, slipped through the cracks on me, just one I didn't end up playing. Game went over. It's one of these situations where this total's high for a reason. Nuggets don't play a whole lot of defense, and the Nuggets offense is spectacular, so even what the Timberwolves can try to do. And Jamal Murray didn't have a great game. Jokic didn't score over 30, and we still got over the total. Yes, please, I'll take it again here in game 2, especially given the fact that we think the Nuggets could have maybe a bigger game there as well. And I'm going to be looking at the same thing I played yesterday, but I'm going to add one more to it. I want to take some 3-point props and probably some ladders as well on Dante DiVincenzo yet again because he shot the ball well yesterday. I think he'll continue to do it, especially against this Nuggets defense. And I want to throw Naz Reid in there too. I got to look and see what his numbers are. They're still coming out across the books here, but we're going to be looking at those as well, both of those guys. Whether it's above the break, which actually they were getting a lot of good looks yesterday, but like I said in the preview, this Nuggets team gives up a ton of corner threes. Both of those guys can hit those corner threes. So we're going to look, both of those guys, that's also correlated with that over. If we got teams hitting threes, especially the Timberwolves, probably means the game's going over too. So that's kind of the 2 looks I'm on here. I think these guys are dead on with the Ant rebounds. Probably will join them on that. That just wasn't one that I wrote down because I wasn't looking at that angle as hard as these guys were. But I think everything they're saying with that makes sense too. And then we'll touch on it. We're going to talk about series futures here after we give out our plays for the games. But I think Drew is kind of spot on with the Jamal Murray points, and I'll touch on that a little bit more on how you can play that not just for game 2, but for the rest of the series when we get to that section as well. So any other thoughts on Nuggets Timberwolves here before we move on, guys? All right, well, then we'll move to another game that's taking place on Monday. This one's going to be the Knicks versus Hawks. Jake, what are you looking at in Knicks versus Hawks?
Yeah, I'll touch on. I have a future that I really like in this series later, but for this game in particular on Monday, I really like. We took it yesterday, and I really like it again. I like the Cat points over. I thought that he was not Cat's best game last yesterday. Obviously, Brunson took the entire first quarter away from him. So he didn't even have a chance to score, and he still hit by like 4 points. So I really like Cat's points. I think it's a really good matchup for him, and I feel like he's just going to be a focal point the entire series. So until they adjust the line, I really like it.
For sure. Drew, any thoughts on this series? I know you and I tend to be a little bit lighter on this series as a whole, but any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, I think the cat look is good. I was on his points yesterday, and yeah, it wasn't his best game by any means. I also think he was a little lighter in the rebound column than maybe Cole and I had anticipated, but I do think that the Hawks are live in this next game. I may be looking at their spread just in game two. I think my nothing has changed for me from a seeing this go more than 5 games perspective. I don't necessarily think the Hawks are going to win it, but I do think that they could squeak one out in MSG before we head back to Atlanta.
I could see it happen. I think this team is just frisky enough, and it depends on what we get out of the Knicks, especially defensively. And then one thing that kind of killed the Knicks at times yesterday was like the Quinn Snyder was absolutely willing to play the foul of Mitch Robinson game. And the Knicks are very good when he's on the floor because he is just such a menace defensively and on the glass. So I think if they manage to keep him on the bench, it helps a little bit, especially if Cat is struggling at times. It helps out with minimizing the size advantage that the Knicks have. And Jalen Brunson, it's not anything new. He can't defend. And CJ McCollum was having his way yesterday. And I think that's going to continue too. So we'll see. I haven't made it an official play or anything. We have some series long stuff on CJ McCollum that we all are on. So I might just ride that stuff out. But if you're looking for Hawks players to get involved in, McCollum is a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He's not intimidated by the moment. And he gets kind of a traffic cone on defense who uses all of his energy on offense anyway. I kind of like that look game after game, especially in a game where the Hawks could be live. I think it could be through CJ McCollum. So that's where I would kind of look in that series too. But again, nothing official for me here. Anything else we want to wrap up on this series before we move on to the final Monday game, guys? All right. Well, final Monday game we'll cover. Again, this one, probably the snooziest of all of them. Is this game on NBA TV? I don't know if NBA TV even has a series anymore because of the whole Prime thing. But like again, this is the NBA TV series. It's the Cavs versus the Raptors. Jake, what are you looking at? I know you mentioned taking the home favorites. Anything else you're looking at in this game?
No, I think this game is very snoozy. I think the only thing I really like in this game is the Cavs alt line. So I think it's just bet the Cavs, minus up to probably like 15, 18, 20. I don't haven't decided or haven't seen the line, so I don't know exactly what the good alt end is, but I think that's the only way you look at it, and you don't even watch the game. Just hope that they take care of business.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain this is the first game of the day, right? Like this is the started
Yeah,
at six
it is.
o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Eastern, and the
Yeah.
half the West Coast isn't even off work yet. Game for sure. Drew, anything else besides the spread? I know that's something you're looking at. Anything else you're attacking, or are you kind of just on board with Jake?
Yeah, I was looking at Cleveland even before I saw the stat on game two favorites. We talked about it in our preview of the series. I just think they're the better team than the Raptors. The Raptors just continue to struggle offensively. You see Mitchell continue to take over in these playoff games, and another great game for him yesterday. I think you continue to see more of that and struggles from the Raptors. I think sweep is in play here, and I am on the Cleveland in game two.
That stat we referenced on one of the last couple of episodes is that not only are home teams that won game one a very good against the spread play in game two, when they are a favorite of 8.5 or more, it's up in the 60+% cover rate. So that's absolutely a look that you're going to get here, as well as I'll mention it now since we're talking about it. That will likely apply to the Celtics, the Thunder, and the Spurs based on what the spreads are today, unless something crazy happens in any of these games, barring injury or upset or anything like that. That's what you're probably going to be looking at there. So those are going to be all teams that fit that system. But the Cavaliers absolutely do fit that system, being a 8.5, 9.5 point favorite, depending on what book you're looking at here. So I'll probably be looking at that too. I agree with Jake. I think the alts make sense. The one other thing I will mention is that when this series gets to game 3, I think that's the game the Raptors would take if they were going to take a game. So I think that'll be the coming home. The travel to Toronto is a little bit tougher than most other places because you got to go through customs, and it's like notorious that it is difficult to deal with. So could see where maybe Cleveland drops a game if you want to take like that whole anecdotal handicapping into a play. But okay, we'll touch it as we continue through the series. That would be when I would look to play the Raptors, not game 2, if that's what you guys were thinking.
Breaking out the going through customs angle. What a 20-minute hell-bound trip that must be. I know. Toronto's a tough place to play because of the crowd and the energy. I don't necessarily think about the customs component, but hey, yeah, I love it.
Hey, maybe somebody didn't renew their passport. Can't play.
Hey, you never know. Yeah, but no, I think that's the spot. If it's going to be for like what Drew said too, and if you're going to show up at all as a young team, you're going to do it at home with the crowd. So I think that's when I would look to play the Raptors. Otherwise, I agree with these guys. It's all Cavs, and again, we're looking Cavs long term here. But all right, that will wrap up the Monday slate. We'll move on to the Tuesday slate. There's one game we obviously officially know some lines and numbers for. That would be Rockets Lakers game 2. So we'll cover that one first, and then we'll just kind of give our general thoughts on the other 3 games since those are happening. Obviously, they will be a result based on what happens today on Sunday. But in this Lakers Rockets game, Jake, I know you have a couple of looks that you're looking at here that kind of tie into not only today but to your look for the future. What do you got?
Yeah, this Rockets team is just a sorry team without Durant. So the only way I see this team winning if Durant doesn't play is if Amon Thompson puts up a big stat line. So the way I'm looking at this game is probably his points over in this game. Maybe some alts. I'd have to look at what the value is, the line is on that. He did not have a monstrous performance in the first game, but I do think if they have any chance, him and Sengun have to actually like show up, and they did not really in the first game. So I expect I expect better games out of both of them, but especially Amon. So that's where I'm looking.
All right, Drew, any thoughts on that series? I know you're taking it very lightly with that series because of your rooting interest here, but
Yeah, nothing from a spread or money line perspective. I echo the under. If Durant is announced out, I might hit it even if he's in, but we touched on it offline. I think Rockets team total under is definitely a play if Durant finds or is out again in game 2. I just don't see where the consistent scoring comes from for this team, and that's in line with the full game under as well.
yeah, I already hit the full game under. I hit it at 206.5. I think it's only going one way. I think play it now while you can if you like that look. I think I'm going to look under in nearly every game, even when Durant comes back, because the total probably will see a little bit of a boost when he comes back. I think still there's going to be some value in taking the under, especially if LeBron is going to be in that facilitator role. I think you're taking what could have been one of the more lethal scorers, making him a facilitator. Now, a lot of those turned into 2-point plays because they were lobs to Ayton. They were dump downs to guys in the mid range. So I think there's just a lot of path. And even if you look at last night's game, it shouldn't have even been as close to the total as it should have. It was just some weird shenanigans and a couple of Reed Shepard threes late that even made it close. So I think keep looking under in that series. I think Drew is spot on, especially without Durant with that Rockets team total under. I think the Rockets could easily win a couple of games in this series going under their team total if the Lakers don't shoot well. Is also a path, so it doesn't even mean the Rockets can't win these games. I think it's just an ugly, nasty series. If anyone remembers the Rockets series against Golden State last year, who has Curry and other guys you think of as elite scorers, like it was just pure under games every time. It's just the way they play. So I think that's absolutely the way I'm going to keep looking at this game. And it's not going to be anything new. The line is very high for a reason, but LeBron assists until proven otherwise, I think it's worth a look as well. Again, it's going to probably be in the double digits, but hey, he proved yesterday that's what he's willing to do. So definitely going to look there as well. But those are my 2 thoughts on that game. Unfortunately, not going to see an 8.5-point spread in that game out of the Lakers, so it will not fit that other trend. But there we go. Those are our thoughts on that. So that'll bring us to the rest of, again, we're calling the hypothetical matchups here. We obviously know what the matchups will be, but we don't know the exact lines and numbers because, again, it's outcomes based. But Jake, anything else you're looking at as far as the rest of the teams they're going to be playing in game 2? Maybe a continuation of looks you have for game 1 or something that you're waiting until you see a game in? Anything that you're going to play on any of those?
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see right now as the game's going on while we're recording how Tatum is just an absolute animal on the glass. I think he has like 8 or 9 rebounds in the first half. So that'll probably be another look that I will be looking at in the game 2 matchup. And then in the Spurs matchup, I really need to see what happens in the today's matchup to make a definitive decision on it. But we've talked about it mostly. We're looking at Wemby unders and Klingon overs, so that's probably where we're going to be looking most of the time. But I would have to see the full match or the full game play out today.
All right, those all make sense. Drew, what are you looking at potentially come Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yeah, I gave the Tatum ladder this morning, looking like a good first half for him so far. It's really that play is a two-pronged approach. It's Tatum has been much more heavily relied on to be a rebounder for this team, given the bigs that the Celtics have, especially when Kita is off the court. He's the primary rebounder. So he's hit 12 in 5 of his last 7. Looks like he, knock on wood, potentially is on his way there as well today. The other one I was looking at, and we touched on it in our opening episode, just from a series long look perspective, was Castle assists. So he's hit 8 or more in 11 of his last 13 games. The month of February was a bit of an outlier for his season. His minutes dropped down to about 24 a game. I think it might have been just a case of some bigger blowouts that he wasn't just playing most of the fourth quarters in that month. But when he's up over 30 minutes, he is consistently going over his 7.5 line that we saw today. And I know all of us are on that. So I'll probably be back looking at his assists again in game 2.
Love both of those looks. I also love kind of what Jake was saying too about waiting to see how game 1 plays out in the Spurs game. I think we're pretty confident in the Castle assists. I think if you see the matchup play out the way we're thinking, with Klingon giving Wemby some trouble, there's going to be a lot of potential there for the Wemby unders if we see that, as well as potentially some other guys on the Spurs roster to have some overs, or at least ways to play overs, whether it's points or things like that. I think it could open up a lot of paths once you see game 1. The couple of things, again, that I'm looking at are those alts and those big favorites come game 2. Again, Thunder, Spurs, Celtics, all going to fit that. So going to be looking at all of those, particularly when it comes to the Thunder and the Spurs, because those two teams are going to be playing the teams coming off of the play-in stuff. That's obviously in the case for the Celtics too, but with the whole Embiid situation and whatnot, there could be some other elements there that make it not as valuable. But I think the Thunder absolutely should take care of game 1 and 2. If they're going to drop a game, it's going to be in Phoenix, because Phoenix has been a tougher place to play all year for teams. But they're the defending champ. They're going to come out. They're going to take care of business. So absolutely going to look there. And I think it's very important for the Spurs, given that they're a young team, to come out early, get the 2-0 lead before going to Portland. This is not where you want to mess around and lose one of your first 2 at home and then have to go on the road in your first playoff series. So I just think that's a very good spot to trust the data on them too. So I'll look at both of those. And when it comes to the game of the Magic versus Pistons, that's the one series we kind of have just not really talked about at all. I think that series could end up being an under series as well. So I'm going to be looking for that. I definitely need to see how game 1 plays out, because especially with the Magic coming off of the play-in, it's been proven that game 1 for play-in teams doesn't tend to go very well most of the time, but we, at least collectively, are a little down on the Pistons, so wouldn't be shocked to see the Magic hang around. Definitely need to see something play out there, but could be looking under, especially if Cade Cunningham doesn't look right. So that's the one other thing I'll mention. But again, very hesitant on that series in general right now. So we're going to wait and see and get some data for that one. But that's what I got. So any other thoughts on just the games coming up, guys, or do we want to move into like the rest of our series future looks?
No, I one note. I mean, I think you made a great point on the Orlando Pistons. Like, seeing that total float, I think it's like 119, sorry, 219, 220. That seems shockingly high for an Orlando Magic game. I know that the Pistons have been pretty efficient on offense even without Cade Cunningham, but I don't know. I did dabble on Orlando's spread already in game 1, and even though kind of going against the play-in team anti-trend there, but that seems a little high to me. I echo the under on that as well.
We'll definitely look at those when we get to our midweek episode. We'll touch back in on that and see if it's kind of playing out the way we think it will. And again, with the Magic involved, unders tend to always feel like the better play. So we'll see how that goes.
47 and 35 to the under this year, the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, so and especially if they've got some dead legs, they're not hitting some shots. If the Pistons struggle at all, I think there's easily a path to that under. So definitely worth a look, and maybe stay tuned. Obviously, again, as we're putting out clips this week, who knows? Maybe you'll see something along those lines put out as well. So stay tuned for that coming up midweek. All right, well that'll jump us over to kind of what we're calling the futures slash series long looks that we've got going. This will be continuations of stuff we broke down last week and some stuff we see live opportunities for as well, because sometimes you see the way a game or a script plays out, you see some opportunity to take advantage. So we're going to do that. Jake, I know you mentioned a few of them already while we were breaking down the series. Are there any others you want to shout out that you didn't mention already, as far as like, again, series long or even playoff long stuff if you're seeing that?
Well, one of the main ones that I added today actually is Josh Hart to lead the series in rebounds in the Knicks series. The reason I added it is because he has a 6 rebound lead over Cat, and it's plus 1,000. So obviously, Cat is a better rebounder and averages around like 11 a game, but Hart is like averages around 8 a game, and I think for plus 1,000 in a series that you could think could go 5 games, I feel like a 6 rebound lead, there's some value in that. The other one I was looking at is Amon Thompson to lead the series in points. He is 2 points behind most of the people that you would think, like LeBron. So he had a what I think was a pretty bad game for him, and he's still only 2 points behind somebody like LeBron, who is one of the people he'd be competing against. Obviously, Kevin Durant, if he comes back, he's a full game of points ahead of him. And then same thing with Luca. I think if Luca comes back and KD comes back, like and it can only help him because it's just they can't win with missing the games they do. So I think there's a lot of value in that play.
I know I saw Drew kind of give the stink face to that. I think there's some validity on what you're talking about because of how ugly it feels. The reason I kind of like it is a very like X's and O's reason. LeBron was matched up a lot on him last night. And as the series goes on, LeBron is going to play less and less defense. Now, that could just mean he'll just lay off him, and it means we have to watch him shoot a bunch of shots and pray to God he hits some of them. If that's the case, sorry, you're toast. But if he can get to the rim, LeBron's not going to foul him. The rim protection is not there for the Lakers. There's a path there. It's a smaller path, but there's a path there. I don't hate the look, especially given the issues for the Lakers on defense in general. It could just end up being a better offensive game if he's actually able to knock down a few jumpers. So don't hate that there. And then Josh Hart, as someone who's on cat rebounds at the minus number, I will probably be adding that just as, again, to build out a portfolio of Knicks players to lead the series in rebounds. So I'll probably join you on that. I think it's a good shout as a little sprinkle given the fact that he has a lead, right? Like if you get a long number on a leader, why not? If the series goes short, Cat continues to be a little passive. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Amon Thompson, 7 of 18 last night, only took 1 3, so at least he understands that the 3 point line may as well be Jupiter to him. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad point. LeBron obviously is not looking to play a ton of defense as this series will go on because he's relied so much on the offensive end. So I think I might just have a genuine beef with Amen Thompson. I just hate watching him play.
Yeah, I mean, he plays absolute junkyard ball. Like, the Rockets in general look like St. John's right now. And, like, they play that just ugly, nasty style. The only difference is they don't have the swagger of Patino on the sidelines. That's the only difference. So, but it's rough, man. It's rough to watch him. But, again, in a rock fight of a series, take the best rock fighter. And Eamon Thompson is by far the best rock fighter that series has. So, I don't hate it. I really don't. But Drew, what do you got as far as series looks? Anything you want to add or double down on?
We touched on the Cavs sweep already. I think that's very much in play. Look for them to take care of business in game 2 and hopefully get through customs okay ahead of game 3. But I think that's very live. I don't know what the number is. I don't have it in front of me, but I think that's a decent look. And then might be overreacting a little bit, but I just think Jokic is the difference, and I think the Nuggets could close out the T-Wolves in 5. Personally, we talked in our series long look really that this was going to be a series that maybe dragged on a little bit. Now we were on the Nuggets in 6 and 7, but I really worry that if Ant isn't having a really good game offensively, that the T-Wolves will just run out of gas, and we could see this gentleman sweep come into play.
Yeah, I really like that look too because just watching that game, uh, obviously I think that Gobert was playing really well in defending Jokic, but and so he turned into more of that facilitator role that we were talking about, and even so, like there were at least like 10 or 15 assists that were just missed open shots, and they still won by 10. So I think this Nuggets team just they're just better. And like you said, if Ant doesn't have an exceptional game, then they'll end up losing.
I feel like Julius Randle is a problem for that team. He's so inefficient. It's nothing
Everywhere he
new.
is.
The
Horrible.
Lakers fans will tell you, the Knicks fans will tell you, everyone will tell you that he's just so inefficient. But he is a problem because Ant plays a ton of iso ball, takes a lot of bad shots, but he's Ant. And so there are times he does incredible things and bails himself out. When you have to play 80% of your offense through iso ball of Julius Randle and Ant, that's where you get into real issues. And then on the other end, you get to just watch the maestro go to work, and he just picks your defense apart. It's tough. So I already have Nuggets in 6 and Nuggets in 7. I might just go ahead and add Nuggets in 5 and just kind of get myself out of here with a little bit of profit. I might just join you on that and just be like, you know what, I was kind of wrong on my look, but at least I have plus numbers in pocket. Just try to get out of there, at least break even or a little more. It's probably what I will do to join you. And Cavs sweep, you're probably right. I have a Cavs in 5 ticket already, so I'm just going to pray that Customs comes through for me and the Raptors steal one. That's probably what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to hope Donovan Mitchell takes care of business for me on all of the series-long props I have on him. But otherwise, you're probably right about Cavs in 4 if we're being honest. So talking about the Nuggets series, though, I mentioned it on our preview episode, and I think now is a good time to add to, or specifically if you have not added it already, to add it to your portfolio. It is Jamal Murray to lead the series in points. I think the recipe we saw yesterday is exactly what you need, and that was a bad Jamal Murray game. You saw an inefficient Anthony Edwards with some of his touches being stolen by Julius Randle. You see Jokic being a facilitator first, a lot of which was going straight to Jamal Murray, and you have Jamal Murray being able to get to the free throw line and put up points. I think that he can very well lead this series in points. We got it at plus 500 or whatever it was last week before game 1. It's still at plus like 300. And likely, unless he starts to really run away with it in the next 2 games, likely you will be able to get a plus number for a while, given the fact that both Ant and Jokic are in this series and have that nuclear potential. So I think it's an absolutely nice time to go and add to your position a little bit. I think that if you didn't, now's a great time to get in because I think we saw what we wanted to see as far as the game script goes. So definitely love that there. Talk about another double down or add. I love Nickeil Alexander-Walker to lead that Knicks Hawks series in 3s. I think what we saw yesterday was that the Hawks can get a lot of open 3s against this Knicks team. That's kind of actually what they're inviting them to do. He didn't shoot great, but he's only, I think, 1 or 2 off of the lead. I think McCollum is the lead with 4. He's at 2. That can easily be made up by a guy who shoots near 50% like Nickeil Alexander-Walker does. And you're actually getting a better number than you did at the start of the series. So if you're like me and you took him close to even money, I think go ahead, add a little bit more to it. If you didn't get him, great. Now you're getting an even better number on a guy who's only 2 3-pointers away. And this guy's hit 5 or 6 threes in the game plenty of times this year. So I think there's absolutely room for that. And then going back to that Nugget series, now talking 3-pointers in that series, if you have Dante DiVincenzo like we threw out there, you're in a great spot. He shot very well. They're going to be able to get him his open looks. And I think if they're going to want to stay in the series, they're going to have to get more open looks and not just have it be the Ant show. But if you are like me and you do have Dante DiVincenzo, I would look at Ant 3-pointers as well, and then give yourself both of the Timberwolves. I don't see any of the Nuggets players leading the series in 3s. Jokic wasn't taking enough of them. Murray didn't shoot well enough, so I don't necessarily think it'll be them. I think go ahead and look for the Timberwolves, especially if they try to adjust their offense a little bit. Go and look at both of those as well. Again, if you already have Dante DiVincenzo, maybe look at adding Ant to give yourself more of a portfolio. Those are the ones I'm shouting out. Any other ones before we get out of here, guys? Anything else that you thought of, forgot to mention? Anything?
No, I'll just double down on the Murray thing. So like 6 of 7 of his last, or 6 of his last 7 against Minnesota, he's gone over 25 points. But even just the points piece, like it's purely a volume game for him. He has now averaged almost 21, 22 field goal attempts per game against the T-Wolves in his last 15 games against them. This is just a Jokic storyline of facilitation. Like Murray, it may be ugly. Like when he shot 7 of 22 yesterday, it does not matter. Guy will get shots up. He'll get 3s up. He made 9 3s in a game against them last year. Not saying that that's going to be the primary source, but volume perspective, it's a crazy plus number for him to be at, even coming off of a game one performance where he now has a 5 point cushion on Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, when both of them are on the floor, we saw it yesterday. Their entire offensive game plan is literally just run pick and roll with them too, and Jokic has the ball facilitating to him. So I definitely like the look on Murray.
You're 100% right. Like the script that we called for, that we liked both of these looks to be in, is exactly what we got. And if you watch the way, and I know Drew hates drop coverage. This is the one case I get why you play drop coverage. And all they're going to do is drop Gobert to prevent Jokic from getting to the rim every time they run that pick and roll or that dribble handoff. That's all they're ever going to do. So it's just going to leave Murray in the place that he can just dribble in, hit those 18-footers that he's so good at. And again, he's going to miss stuff. It's going to happen. But like you said, if we're getting 25 shots a game, gladly will take the chance that we have one of those games be a high shooting percentage game. And, you know, there we go. Like you said, it'll be a plus number because of who's in this series, and it shouldn't be. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up then. Normally we would do the agree board, the head-to-head board. Not a ton of, like, head-to-head stuff, which, again, worked out for us so far. It never works out long term when we are all agreed on something. So some of what we said, again, make sure you're taking it, adding the correct positions. Don't just blindly tail everything. Obviously, take a look at what you had. And as far as the agree board goes, again, we're kind of agreed on a lot of those looks. Not going to just ramble on going through all of them. I would say our biggest agreement is probably going to be with our not newfound, but added love for the Nuggets in a lot of ways. Like we just said, the Murray points, the fact that they could take this series quicker than we expected. And then the other big agreement from us is kind of just the Cavs rolling. Again, spreads, alts, sweep, whatever you're looking at there. It's kind of another one that we had a ton of agreement on. And then we think it's going to be a nasty continued series in the Rockets, Lakers, but there's a ton of different ways we threw out to play that one. So obviously, again, listen through that, pick out your own. Otherwise, we're going to see how these plays play out. We'll be back midweek to break stuff down again, and we'll do the same thing again. We'll look back, we'll look forward, give you the plays we're looking at, so on, so forth. And we'll keep doing that until we get into the later rounds when there's less games, and we'll adjust the schedule from there. But if you did make it to the end of the video with us, guys, please do leave a like. Thank you for watching. We enjoy doing this every week. It's super fun. This is the best time of year to be watching the NBA because you actually get meaningful basketball and there's a lot of opportunity. So we hope you keep joining with us. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell as well so you get every one of these episodes when we put them out. Again, like we said at the top of the video, stay tuned to our social media pages where we're putting out our daily clips. We're putting out ladders. We're putting out picks. We're doing all sorts of fun stuff there, throwing out parlays that we're doing, all the fun stuff. So if you miss anything from this show or you want to see the extra stuff we're doing in between episodes, that's where it's going to be. So make sure you stay tuned there as well. But otherwise, again, every day we know there's a lot of action going on right now. There's a ton of other sports going on as always. So we end the video as we always do, wishing you best of luck on all of your wagers until we see you guys next time.
And the power of friendship.